There's something that I just need to say to set this up, okay? So Pete Bavacqua is the Notre Dame athletic director, and he has been the one who has been out front complaining. Some had suggested whining about Notre Dame's snub of from the College Football Playoff Committee that wound up with them being left out of the playoff. And I understood it. I think I've been a lone voice in the wilderness defending Pete Bavacqua. They're all mad. They have good reason to be mad, and they needed someone to say it. And he's doing it so the coach doesn't have to do it and the players don't have to do it. So all along, I have been on Pete Bavacqua's side when most people have not been. But then yesterday, he went too far. This is what he said yesterday about the 10-0 finish that Notre Dame had to their season.
We had one of the most dominant 10 games runs in the history of college football. And on top of that, we felt that the CFP committee, the ranking committee, felt the same way. You go back to that first round, we were 6-2 and Miami was 6-2, and they had already beaten us. And we were 10th and they were 18th. And the only thing that happened from that point forward is we both went on these amazing runs. And through no fault of our own, we wake up and find out that, we're the odd man out.
So I think we need to take a closer look at this. We had one of the great 10-game runs in the history of college football. I think you could argue it was the fourth best 10-game run that any team had this year alone. Indiana this year had a 10-game run that had a greater point differential against better competition. Ohio State this year had a 10-game run that had a better point differential against better competition. Notre Dame's 10-game run, they had a 297 plus minus against teams that were 10 games under 500. Look just below them. Texas Tech had a 10-game run in which their point differential was almost as good and the competition was infinitely better. So as I said, this is where they went a step too far. It always just goes one step too far. You had me. Paul Finebaum, you have been just obliterating Pete Bavacqua everywhere in extremely entertaining fashion, I might add. I've enjoyed every second of it. But the entire time I've been thinking to myself, if I were in his shoes, I might do the same thing. I don't want my coach to have to get up there and say all that stuff. My players are not. These are college players, no matter how much they're getting paid. They aren't going to get up there and complain. I'm going to get up there and complain. And then we went to one of the most dominant 10-game runs in the history of college football, and unfortunately, that's so far from true that you lost even your last defender in me. Paul Finebaum, your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to give Pete any more advice than I already have, but go down to the library and get out a book of Shakespeare and read Macbeth, because it says a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. And that's what he's been doing all week. He just has been a motor mouth, Greeny. And yesterday, as you have eloquently pointed out, he stepped in it. It's to the point now where we're just tired of hearing it, and it just doesn't make any sense. You played on the field, you lost to Miami on August 31st. Whatever this committee did, which never has made any sense anyway, they may have gotten it wrong for a while, but they got it right at the end. So, Pete, thank you. Go back to the back of the class and find somebody else to scream and holler at. We're tired
Lewis,
of you.
Now you do games all season long. You've seen all these teams.
Yeah.
I've not had you here this week, so I've not had any chance to hear your reaction to all this that has happened.
Yeah, look, I think it's unfortunate that the committee waited so long in order to write the rankings until the last moment. I think that's the shock and awe of this all for Notre Dame and their fans and their coaches and their players. And quite honestly, if I was in that locker room, considering where we had been ranked all season long, I would have thought, okay, well, they really do, despite the fact that we lost to Miami head-to-head. Maybe they do think we're better than them, because a lot of this is subjective. A lot of this is the eye test. Maybe they do believe when they watch us play that we're better than them. So that's the committee's fault. That really is. What is happening now as far as the Notre Dame administration going off on these kind of tirades and saying, hey, look, we have the greatest 10-game run in the history of college football. It's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, the objective data does not support that. And quite honestly, watching the subjective and watching you play the game and knowing who the opponents were, that's not the case. But what this is like they just cannot seem to be able to soothe themselves over what happened. And I get that. I would be ticked off too. But that is the committee. That's where the ire needs to be directed, at the committee, at their process. And I promise you, next year, well, I can't promise you because I'm not on the committee. But I guarantee you that a lot of time and a lot of energy will be spent on really trying to perfect the ranking system. And maybe we won't even hear about the committee's rankings until the very end to kind of like combat the fact that maybe this kind of thing could happen again. Because you don't ever want this happening again. Not like this.
I would be opposed to that. This is entertaining stuff. Like this is
Yeah,
all grist for the mill. Everyone is following it.
True.
The fact that they screwed this up so badly shouldn't mean you take a good idea and throw it out.
That's true.
Let's get it right.
Entertainment is one thing. Competency, though, is another.
Right.
You need to look competent. Otherwise, people start to lose faith.
What was the expression you used that time? Do not mistake activity for what?
I said that. Do not mistake activity for achievement.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what this one. Look, there's a lot of activity every week in these committees, as far as the committee meeting and talking about these teams and where they needed to be ranked. But did they really achieve what their objective is supposed to be, which is to get this thing right? Not quite.
I agree. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, by the way, not a fan of the way Notre Dame has handled all this. Listen to him.
I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it. So, okay, I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. As Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay? BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head, and made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
How about that, Paul? This is no longer just talking heads like you and me. This is someone who's actually in the room where it happens. I mean, where these decisions actually get made. What's your reaction to that, Paul?
Greeny, you just have to think about what he said. That's so unprecedented for one of these people that sit at the big boy table, and Yormark is at that table. He's one of the G4 commissioners, the Power 4 commissioners, I should say, and that is just incredible because that never happens. I mean, this is part of the problem with college football, is that these four gentlemen all sit together and they cover each other's behind, and they never do what he did. So yes, that is a seminal moment right there. One of the key guys saying, "You're wrong, you're egregious." I mean, that's a big word for a college football commissioner.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the biggest difference between basketball and football, this stuff all fits in basketball, doesn't fit in football. They need to find a way to get the 12 best teams in there, period, end of sentence.
No doubt.
We wouldn't have this problem. I have to go to a break. Paul, thank you for jumping in here. Much more as we go, including the latest on Old Man Rivers. The Colts go to Grandpa trying to save a sinking season. We'll tell you what it means for him and for them. Plus, sometimes the truth hurts, like right now, for instance. Is the quarterback the problem in flat Philadelphia? We'll answer all your questions as we get up with you on ESPN.